Kidderminster Harriers Fans Podcast, episode 50. If it was a cricket match, we would get a polite round of applause, I think, for getting to 50. Well done, everyone.
Raise the bat.
Yeah, absolutely. Raise the bat. Raise it all. Raise it all. So tonight the panel are back, obviously. It feels like a very long time since we did the last one. I know it's 7 days, but for me it feels like ages. I don't know. So we got Dan. Hello, Dan. We got John. We got Nick as well. Welcome, gentlemen. Two of us were at the game. By the way, yesterday before the match, when I was eating fish and chips, I had a lovely chat with a guy, and I didn't get his name. I feel bad about that. But he was saying that, you're about being at the game, that kind of thing. So I just thought, do you know what? We'll just say it. Two of us out of the four were at the game, so we can talk about it. There's loads of things to talk about tonight. So Adam Murray described yesterday as a professional, really professional away performance and his best result of the season. John, it was like watching Cooper and Davis controlling the orchestra, pulling the strings. It was just beautiful, wasn't it? Where did we win it, John?
Yeah, I think that's the key word, control. We controlled the game really well from the off. We set the tempo, we dictated the pace and where we wanted to play the game. Cooper and Davis did magnificently well at forcing the ball out wide where we wanted to play. And that's where we won the game. The amount of crosses into the box, surely the highest of the season. Both sides, I think, worked exceptionally well, but particularly down that left-hand side, the link up between Owen Evans and Devine was again fantastic. I don't think there was any player who you could say didn't show up yesterday. Obi and PK again allowed to roam forward, but did so at the appropriate times as well. We still looked really defensively solid all the way through. One highlight for me, which I don't think anyone really has mentioned so far, was Ashley Hemmings. Again, yes, he played a little bit deeper, but the way that he came back to claim the ball and really battle in that middle of the park to the final third, I thought was fantastic. And just winning those second balls and regaining possession, I think he's done brilliantly since he's come back without that many plaudits for it. It's no coincidence at all that our upturn in form has coincided with Hemmings' return. I thought that he was great. Dibble, he didn't have that much to do, but what he did have to do, he did well, and he was really vocal and talking that back line through the danger when there was danger as much as possible. I think in terms of everything that happened on the pitch yesterday, there's not much to criticise at all. The only thing, just in terms of balance, because I don't want to say it was the 10 out of 10 performance, is we created so much. We had so many crosses into the box. George Walker, I think you can already see his decision making improving in terms of when to cross and when to cut in, which I think was my main criticism of him in the previous games. Put so many crosses in, as did Devine. We just didn't have at points anyone on the end of those crosses, and some of them were just a second too late. Or a second where we were potentially unbalanced. So I think the one that fell to Davis, which I was gutted for him, he didn't get his hat trick. It was just purely the timing of it, and there was a couple that Hemo could have got on the end of as well. I think all over the pitch, control was the key word yesterday, and a professional performance. That's the kind of performance against a good team in this league that we need to just keep ticking up the wins. It wasn't spectacular, but it was everything that we needed to do on the pitch. We battled and we played well.
Thank you, John. That was excellent. That was a lot better than I would put it. I'll go to the comments in a minute, but do you know what? There were times yesterday I was watching it and I was like, how have we only got 11 men on the pitch? Because the fitness of the guys, I think all credit to the team, to Dan Ludlow and to everyone else, but they are so fit, and it feels like at times there's like 13, 14 players on the pitch because they're just going. And you've got Obi's just one moment he's in defence, one moment he's up front, and KP's doing exactly the same. And it's just mind blowing. I think the system. I mean, are we ever going to have two up front again? Do you think, or is it obviously data controlled? Nick, your thoughts on that, please.
I would actually say that we've mentioned this on the podcast, actually. So I think it's a really good point. I've noticed it without seeing stats and data, of course, because we're not privy to that. But just from the naked eye, I feel as though almost from like the Telford game onwards, it's clicked to me where I think I mentioned it after that game, where I feel like we genuinely look like a full-time outfit in a lot of these games now from a physicality point of view. And we seem to have this blend of runners and, you know, people that can get in behind and who have pace, mixed with fitness and mixed with that physicality and a little bit of nastiness and know-how with the likes of a Cooper and a Davis. We just have that, and Riley. We've got that sort of that blend now that you need, that we just didn't have. I think I mentioned earlier on in the season that we were lacking what I class as tempo. Like when you're in, and there's tempo with the ball and there's tempo without the ball. And I feel as though now we have tempo without the ball. The way we press, the way we maraud, the way the players have freedom to go into different pockets of space, almost regardless of their position. And I think the flexibility of the likes of Owen Evans, Obi, Candler, Davis, Riley, I think the fact that those players and those boys can play in different positions gives us that flexibility to go and do that. So it just feels at the minute like we're on a really good trajectory where I look at it and think we are a team, we are formidable, and we have the capacity to go and have a really strong run now, where it feels like the only games we're going to lose is almost like games where a team somehow is able to beat us and better us, whereas before we were almost losing to ourselves at times. I feel like those days are gone. And actually, when you take that away in this league, you give yourself a really good chance.
You really, really do. At the end of the game, this is going to go mental now because what I've written is not what's going to happen, obviously. But at the end of the game, I saw Hemo. I said, Hemo, come here. And he came over, obviously. He's Hemo, love him. And I said, Merthyr have lost. He was like, what? I was like, yeah, Merthyr have lost. Filed, I've lost, mate. He was like, no way. And I said, now at this point, my stats weren't correct. And I said, South Shields have lost. And this was probably about a minute before they equalised.
98th minute goal for South Shields.
I mean, ridiculous, right? Ridiculous. Anyway, let's go to the. I thought Hemo played great yesterday. Don't want to give nods to Hemo. It's amazing how he's quite small, but he can still battle with two bigger defenders. I just find that mental.
He can jump. He's got a mass. He's got like I watch him, and he's got an enormous jump. He really has got a good leap. Makes a massive difference. He wins a lot of headers for a small guy, and it's pure. Obviously, it's not his height, it's not his size or his scale, but he is very athletic.
Right, now, let's go to the comments. KHFC TV, brilliant to have him with us. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to Wesley, happy birthday to you. Now, if you've not seen my vlog that I did, that I put this morning, you won't know what that's all about. So I'm just I'll link it into the comments. We'll definitely do that. Dr. Stephen, hello, Dr. Stephen. It's great for you to join us. Thank you, sir. He says, congratulations for making it to 50. Well done, lads. Makes our Sunday evening. Oh, and lads, this is the one and only Craig, who you met yesterday, John. Craig, with probably the greatest beard man's ever seen.
Fantastic beard. It looks like it's straight out of a grooming advert. Yeah, amazing beard. And there's a comment from Robin Caulfield. Hi, Robin. I imagine it's nearly her bedtime, so she's probably been allowed to stay up late to watch us. I would have thought, Wes.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, and a pound of cup of tea. Lads. Thank you, Craig, for getting involved with that. Right, now there's two questions, which I'm going to bring into a one, okay? So, is Seb, Andy, Graphics Guy Andy says, is Seb going to get a game? Seems strange to bring him back, if not to play regularly. I really can't think of anyone I'd drop to put him in. And then Paul Curtis says, Hi, guys. Anyone know much about new Loney centre forward? So we do. Nick knows that. But what I want to say is we're at that period now where the fixtures are so congested, it's every man to the pump. And if they can play well, people are going to get in the side. And it's not because he's going to drop them because, they're better than that. It's just they want fresher legs, surely. Is that what you're thinking, Dan? That's what you do, right?
Exactly right. I think he's there for rotation. There is a little part of me that's wondering, are we going to lose a couple of the loanees come the end of January? Because we know that there are contracts up on that. And I think there are some alarm bells ringing in my head from that perspective. But I think ultimately it's about rotation. It's about making sure that, I mean, Nick said it, the coverage and the speed which everyone's moving around the pitch. You said it, where's the fitness? There is the risk of injury. There's the risk of tired legs. The fixtures are congested. So I do wonder if it's more about rotation. However, it does feel a bit odd to me. I wasn't expecting it, and I was surprised when on social media it started sort of coming out that Seb was coming back. I wonder how he feels about it, because he was getting plenty of game time where he was. He's probably looking at this squad himself, wondering where he fits into it. But you know what? We've trusted in Adam Murray to this point. Let's trust him in further. He must have a plan. So I think it's obviously going to unfold. We're obviously going to see what's going on. My only worry is that Seb's been brought back because some of the loanees aren't staying, and I would be very worried about Cooper. Not the same player, not the same position, but I do wonder if that could be what's going on.
Well, I'll put your mind at rest there. Yeovil do not want Cooper at all. Cooper is the son of the former manager, so they don't want him. Cooper yesterday was absolutely amazing. I'd sign him in a heartbeat, and I'm sure you would as well, John. I'm sure you would, Nick, because he was just fantastic. So don't worry about the players' loans coming up to an end. Hemo's staying, because at the end of the day, their clubs don't want them. So of course they want to get rid.
Can I throw a comment in here?
Yes.
Two things. I think one, if the likes of a Cooper were going, I think Spokes would more likely have been the one recalled, albeit he is more of a attacking-ish type midfielder as opposed to a sitting one, but then that would now enable Candola to do that role. I think it's highly likely Cooper will stay, personally, without any insight on that, but I do think that will be the case. Do we not... I don't want to go overboard here, because I'm far from suggesting that Seb Thompson is in any way the answer to our lack of goals. But I do think he probably deserves a little bit of credit for the fact that he's gone to Leamington and scored goals for a team that are struggling. He did the same last season at Rushall. And is it one of those scenarios where Adam Murray's taken a look at it and gone, actually, we are short on goals. Seb has gone and got some goals. And has he almost brought him back as not to replace loanees returning, but actually as another option on the basis that maybe Seb is a bit more of a confident player, having had that spell at Leamington. I'm just putting that out there, and again, I'm not suggesting he's going to be coming in and getting loads of minutes, but it's just a theory.
I saw Seb; he was warming up in front of me, and the Thompson brothers are like tight and stuff. And I said, "All right, Seb." He was like, "Yeah," and he just walked off. And I was
not a huge fan of the podcast. My understanding.
Well,
but I do think he has gone and got goals, and maybe he's been brought back for that reason. I'd like to think that's the reason more than anybody leaving, because I at this stage, there's a couple of things. One, when he returns, there's a different dynamic. Let's hope he's a good lad on and off the training field.
Yeah, of course.
And I guess the second thing is the other lads that have come in seem to have made a positive impact on the place, and so let alone the football side, I feel like we don't want them to leave because they've clearly had an impact off the field as well. So yeah, let's hope he's adding as opposed to replacing, because I'm not quite sure he's that guy.
I will say, in fairness, Wes, if he was warming up in front of you, and you just said hello, I don't think he'd have thought to come and ask how your Christmas was. He was probably thinking, I'm going to go and get warm. But
I could be getting 90 minutes at Leamington.
Yeah,
yeah.
That may well be it.
He's probably annoyed.
I think there's got to be an element of disappointment in with his excitement of being brought back. When he heard that, I imagine that. I don't imagine he just heard it out of the blue. I imagine there were conversations between him and Adam Murray before that, I would have thought. I don't think he gets in that current side. I'm surprised that we've recalled him, but I guess with what we've got coming up, obviously still being in the trophy, we've got another spell of bad weather incoming if the weather scaremongering is to be believed. So we potentially are going to need to have a deeper squad that we've got, and I think maybe Adam Murray's done that at this juncture rather than getting to the point where we're really struggling with fatigue and injuries. Although, as Nick mentioned earlier, the fact that we are a full-time team is really starting to show, and it always does, at this point in the season and onwards. But I think it's really head and shoulders above now in terms of the fitness, and you saw how fit and prepared physically we were yesterday.
Yeah.
It's just the only concern with that in my head is, there's 20 odd games to go, I think, or around that figure left. It's just running out of steam. When you play that full pelt style of football, and to your point, there's lots of fixtures, lots of games, Tuesday, Saturdays. I just hope that when it gets to crunch time, on the assumption that, well, regardless whether we're still in the title race at that stage or in the playoffs, I just hope we don't kind of blow up. Because that is one of the risks. It's a high risk strategy, isn't it? When you play this high press, lots of coverage game, and at the minute it's really working out for us. I just hope that we do recycle where needs be, and I think Adam Murray's proven that he wants to do that just purely off the back of resting Riley Reynolds yesterday, which, to be fair, was a huge move that looks to have been a massive positive. Now, he's probably going to have to do that with several other key players across the course of the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. And I know where you're going to go through the fixtures, but there's some tough, long distances ahead. And I just hope that we do have a plan to make sure that we can keep this intensity till the very end, because I do feel like this is the way we get out of this league with this team and this manager. It's what we wanted for Murray when he became manager. Yeah. We're seeing it now, and it's great.
Yeah,
I just hope we've got the depth to go and do it till the death.
I think Nick, you're correct, and you're saying, but I just think we've got enough bodies now. Because we've had the injuries, haven't we? The injuries have come early on in the season, but other teams are going to pick up injuries if they haven't already, and that kind of thing. So yeah, just going back to the Scarborough game yesterday, KHFC TV says thoughts on the illegal segregation issues yesterday. I bought seat tickets on Sunday, then they turn around and say the game's segregated on Wednesday. Now, lucky for me, I take my seat with me wherever I go, more or less. So it wasn't an issue. But they also said you could cook. The thing was, they did say, just email us and we'll try and sort it out. But there was an awful lot of Scarborough fans directly opposite us, and that was just the way it was. I don't think you'd really want to be there anyway. Right. There's a massive question here. There's a massive question, but I'm not going to answer it just yet. We'll save it to the end. Nick, do you remember saying, I don't even know when it was. It could have been September. It could have been August, September time. You said, I wonder when it's going to be that the away managers are saying we're probably the best team they've seen and stuff. I saw this on Facebook, and I kind of thought of you because there was a couple of comments on Facebook. Chris here saying, there you go. Credit to the Borough players for fighting to the end against the strongest, fittest, most well-organised team that I have seen this season. Change about 4.5 times, stop Kiddie bursting through midfield at pace. Oh my God, we did make a huge difference to the potential outcome. Not the result we wanted, but against a full-time team, in-form outfit, 15 goals in the last 6 games. Do you remember when we couldn't actually buy a goal? It's so mad. It's beyond a joke. Beyond a joke. But yeah, they were saying that there was another one that I picked up as well.
The manager had a few positive words, actually. I watched their managers. I watched his post-match, and he did, fair play to him. He did. I'm not saying he said we were the best team that he's seen. He didn't say that, but he did sort of say that we were a really strong, good, well-drilled side, and gave us some praise, which, again, I don't always watch every single opposition manager's post-match interview, but I watched quite a few, and there hasn't really been many, of huge compliments. And I do think that we are now getting to that stage where, we've come together, haven't we? Like, it feels like we are a team now that is in the right place that it needs to be. We were still missing, and potentially are still missing, consistent goals from the front line. But outside of that, now you look at us and go, good clean sheet mentality, good goalkeeper, great defence, goals from all over the pitch, more communication, more energy. Feels like we've got an extra player. We've got that classic scenario now where there's talks of, I wonder if he's going to stay. I wonder if the league club's going to come in for him. When those conversations start to happen, your team tends to be in a good situation, and that's where we're at. It's just that last missing piece of the jigsaw that hopefully, we bought in over the last sort of 24, 48 hours.
There was an opinion from John Smith. This isn't you, is it, John? You're not on the Scarborough page.
It was not me. It's another John Smith. I know it's not a very common name.
No,
but
it certainly isn't. So he says, just listen to the manager's interview, and he rested a player after looking at his physical data. Given that a lads work outside of football, I wonder what their physical data looks like. Now, going back to it, when it was all about data driven, and then we had no idea what was happening there, and it turns out it's quite a good thing in the end. I didn't get a chance to speak to Riley, but I guess that's who he's talking about. For your information, we can hear audio twice. I think it's got my headphones on, or maybe I don't know. Can you hear audio twice?
I can only hear you once, Wes. So I don't know whether I seem to be coming from elsewhere, but
I can hear it twice. I did try muting my mic to see if it's me, but I think it must be your end, Wes. Sorry.
I can't mute myself and talk at the same time. Nick,
I'll talk. I'll
you.
say something, Wes, on the data that John Smith just mentioned. So not the real John Smith, not the OG, but another John Smith. He hasn't even got a profile picture. Look at that. I mean, that's just so poor. The real John Smith would never do that. But my point was going to be that, yes, it might be full time and the manager quoting about physical data, but I imagine that most of that physical data is collected by the sports bra type thing that the players wear, and they pretty much wear them, at relatively low levels. So I'd be surprised if Scarborough don't have that. They might not have, but a lot of teams, most teams I see, have them, and that's where a lot of the data is actually taken from. The second thing is, you mentioned there was about, we talked about data at the start of the season. I don't think any of us really mocked or belittled the data to a point where we didn't understand it being used. It's always been, not always, it's been used for a long time. And Adam was obviously keen to mention it a lot of the time. The challenges at that point of the season weren't related to his beliefs in data. They were just related to the fact of he wasn't really saying what he was seeing in post-match interviews.
Yes.
Over the course of the season, that's changed, and so I feel much more confident in him generally. Was at times it felt like he was watching different games, talking about us being in control of games, when it was quite clear when you're watching it we weren't. Now when he says it, we actually are in control of games, and I do think that the data side of things is just almost you can't argue with the facts. The facts are the facts, and I think that's what he's always alluded to, and that hasn't changed over the season. I think now how he and we as fans are interpreting that is more aligned, and that's where the belief has come back over the course of the last however many weeks or months that it's now been.
Oh my goodness! First it's the audio, now it's the background. KHFC TV says, John, could you kindly turn your background off, please?
I will get it sorted out for next week. We'll leave it up for now, but we'll get it. I'll make sure. It's just my position where I'm sat. I'll go back to my usual chair next week.
Thank you, John. Thank you, KHFC. It's quite disconcerting seeing your hair disappearing. Mine was doing that as well last couple of times. I just was like, no.
Some may find it very reassuring. I think in terms of the data and being rested off the back of the data, whether it's data or it's a player just saying, boss, I'm knackered, we need to make sure that we're doing the right things for the players and doing the right things for the squad as a whole. So whatever the reason that Riley was rested, I hope that he's up and raring to go for the upcoming fixtures, and hopefully it helped him, and he's still a big part of the squad off the pitch leading up to the game.
Yeah, absolutely. He got compared to a wasp, which was really exciting. I'd never heard of a football player being compared to a wasp though, but I do get it. He just run around, and he got a day off, happy days, but he said to be there. One of those things, couldn't have been the Crystal Lake Centre.
That's really good that
I know.
the players that aren't playing are still around the squad, part of the squad, celebrating together, or commiserating together, whatever it is. Thankfully it was celebrating. But you want to see that togetherness. You want to see players, whether they are playing 90 minutes, making a 30-second cameo off the bench, or whether they're injured and not part of the squad. You want to see them all being part of that continued progress together.
Do you know, sorry, can I just say something on that? It's interesting on the socials, actually, and I do wonder if there is a bit of a non-elective social secretary within the team, and that seems to be George Walker. From kind of a lot of the posts he makes, certainly on Instagram, he seems to have a really good bond with the majority of the players there. He seems to be all over that, and it is kind of a nice thought to think that someone so young could well be having such an impact in bringing the team together. But it certainly looks that way on the socials, that George seems to be right in the thick of it when it comes to social secretary role or whatever you want to call it, back to my uni days. But yeah, it's great to see.
He's a great talker, George Walker. He's actually a very good talker. You wouldn't think he is the age that he is. Like when he got man of the match at the Morecambe game, he spoke after the game. It's actually very articulate, very bright. Thought that when he first joined. Seems almost, quite an intelligent, switched on guy. And I think those things, of course, they don't always make a difference of a player, but you always think, okay, it's always a bit of a surprise when they talk so eloquently, certainly at a young age. He's got a lot of confidence in that respect. So maybe he's had some media, maybe he was like a child drama
podcast
guy or something. But yeah, maybe
he was on the Disney Club.
Yeah, maybe he's part of S Club 7.
I won't go that far. I don't think so. But yeah,
they're probably older than me, actually. To be fair.
Yeah, that's nice.
The irony is he wouldn't know who that is, probably.
I know. Oh God, jeez, Louise. So me asking for Scatman John at a wedding. What's that about? Dan, I was going to talk to you anyway. Tuesday night, you got your ticket, Bedford.
Oh yeah,
oh baby. So Bedford, they've already done the data, which is great. So yeah, Dan, what's your thoughts, mate?
Well, I think the first thing I want to ask is, because your little thing you put together on YouTube was great. The thing with the game. So are we going to do that on Tuesday night at Bedford, or?
Okay, Dan. So you got to start and roll on this, mate. So the vlog number 4 on Tuesday night. I want to get you to talk us through that goal that you scored, actual goal that you actually scored at Bedford, because we want to know what end of the game it was, what time, who celebrated with you. Did you get any love afterwards? Well, we can leave that out if you want, but yeah, we'd like to know anyway. So is that okay, Dan? What do you reckon?
Yeah. If they let me on the pitch, I'll try and recreate it. But, I might have to take my clothes off or something.
Wow, what for?
Sorry,
Dan.
Sorry,
what? What are you doing?
How is that in any way relevant?
I don't know where that came from.
Just go on the pitch and just get naked. I mean, in what world is that?
Unacceptable.
Dan's world.
Bring back streaking, the lost art of streaking.
When he said he scored a goal, maybe he was streaking at the time. Maybe it was one of those comedy moments where he just ran on the pitch and just tapped it in.
Oh, wow. Dan, you've taken a really good idea and you've done something with it. It's pretty dark.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I think.
No, I also don't know what happened. I'm just going to try and get the link to the vlog. I'll put that up right now in the things. Nick, are you going to be there, Nick, Tuesday night?
I will not be there, but I will be watching the game. It's obviously on DAZN, so the next couple of away games, I think I'll be tuning into that. I might be at Halifax on Saturday, but no, Tuesday nights I'm not going to be able to get to Bedford.
Okay,
but I will be watching it for sure.
Right, there's a link to the vlog yesterday. It was so much fun, to be honest. So there you go. So Bedford away, that's a win, right? That's got to be. It has to be a win. It has to be. Sure.
It's like the championship, though. It's like the championship. You can never say that. You can never say that.
And they got a good result as well.
It's not that certain, is it? Any league, anybody can beat anybody at the minute. But the key for me is, we don't seem like a team that's going to be complacent, and we can't be complacent. We have to keep up from the first whistle to the final whistle. keep up that tempo, that control, that intelligence. And I think you said earlier, Wes, how the communication was better yesterday, and that has been steadily getting better week on week on week on week. And it was one of my biggest bugbears, 3-4 months ago, because the players just weren't talking. It was silent out there. And now they seem like they're constantly talking to each other, through their own game, through others' games, and really encouraging each other, directing each other, supporting each other, and having the right conversations on the pitch. And Devine was going to take a throw yesterday, and he was like a quarterback calling out positions, and it was so good to see it. He was saying, no, 5 yards up, there's because of the wind, and yeah.
Owen Evans did that. He was shouting at Obi. He was like, Obi, wind, and Obi went, oh yeah, and then he went up 5 yards. I was like, brilliant, that's fantastic.
So
Tuesday night is huge for a couple of reasons. So one, obviously we've got a game that we need to try and look after, and they'll have a player in Zaziba that will have a point to prove. They've also got a high-flying marksman in Marsh, who I'm sure will fancy his chances. On paper, you fancy us, just given the fact we're 10 unbeaten, 9 in the league. But it's also an interesting one because Merthyr have got Telford at home, and South Shields are playing Fylde. So when you look at those two other fixtures on paper, there's a real opportunity for us to make ground on potentially 2 or 3 of those clubs, depending on the results. I think I'd love a draw with Fylde and South Shields, and Telford to probably beat Merthyr would be ideal on the basis that we, look after our own business. But like I said, there is no easy game in this division, and every game where you feel like, and I'm in that zone right now, right? I'm going into Telford. I'm going into Tuesday night against Bedford thinking we're going to win this game. I feel really confident of it. I felt less confident against Scarborough because of the nature of the pitch, the style, the fact that, they're a physical, big, tall team. I remember after the first game of the season, and some of the players were saying to Murray, God, it's like playing Land of the Giants in this National League North. We saw them through yesterday, and by the sounds of your guys' review and the review I've seen online, it was comfortable. Bedford are more of a footballing side. We saw that when they came to Agborough. So all signs lead to fancy it. But
so that has led on to we had a message from Smiths of Hagley. Why do I know Smiths of Hagley? Anyone know who Smiths of Hagley is at all? Anyway,
it's
don't
like
matter.
A car shop, is it?
Well, maybe. But they say, do any of the panel seriously think we can get involved in the title race? Mate, I think we're already there, pal. We're already there. And you cannot douse this fire out within my belly that we are going to challenge all the way to the end of the season.
You know what? If you want to be romantic, you want to sort of look at fate or anything like that, the fact that our final fixture is South Shields at home, and that, literally just saying it, and I've got goosebumps from saying it, but can you imagine what that would be like if we are level on points, 2 points ahead, 2 points behind, whatever, just right up there, that final day of the season? Oh my God, that could be incredible.
You talk about romantic. I think the most romantic element of that is that we lost it on the last day of last season. So to go from that to go and then win it on the last day of the following season, that
all the ghosts have been exercised. It
would be sensational. It would be sensational. But, and I don't want to be, bringing it down, because I will not sit here and say we are out. So to answer the guy's question, I'm not going to sit here and say we are out of the title race, because we're not. Like, mathematically, the way we're playing, etc., we absolutely can. I just, at the minute, the only thing holding me back from thinking we are really in this mix is what I've been saying for weeks, and that if that gets fixed, we're bang at it. We're banging with a chance. Without it, I just feel like they'll score too many. I just feel like they score too many goals.
I guess the other thing is, we're talking about it like it's in our hands, and it's not. And sadly, South Shields have been excellent to this point this season. Yeah, they dropped a couple of points at the weekend, but that last-minute equaliser is going to feel like a win to them.
Shows what they're about.
Fylde have been excellent as well. Again, dropped points at the weekend, which is good. So, sadly, I mean, I was talking to somebody yesterday about this. It's my dad, actually, I was talking to. And I sort of said to him that, like, this season feels like a reach to win the league. I think we got a real shout at the playoffs, 100%. But if we don't go up this season, if we can keep this team together in its, not necessarily its entirety, but as close as could be to what we've seen this season, then I genuinely think it's our year next year. Not that I want to be here next year. I want us to go up this season 100%. But, you know, trying to sort of make lemonade and all of that, I think if we do fail at it this season, I think Adam Murray has learned over, you know, the last however many weeks how to do it in this league with this team. And I do believe if we don't do it this year, we keep the team, we will do it next year.
There's two things I do not talk about on this podcast, right? The first one is not believing we're going to win the league. Thank you, Dan. And the second one is Ricardo Reis. Those are the only two things that we don't talk about on the podcast. Okay.
You're not going to like this then, Wes. I don't believe we're going to win the league unless we sign Ricardo Reis. No, I unfortunately, I do think the gap is too big to win the league. I think that South Shields and Fylde are both too strong and too good in this league to drop enough points just to properly be in with a shout. However, what I would say is we're in a position tonight where we're all talking about looking up, not down. We're all looking ahead of us, not behind us, and that's where we want to be. And as long as we're ticking along week after week and we're still talking about looking up, not down, then we know we're going all right. You know, we've really solidified a playoff place at the minute, and we none of us here tonight, I imagine, think we're in any danger of falling out of the playoffs, and that's a really nice place to be. For me, I think the aim, first of all, over the next 5 or 6 games has got to be to secure that position, to really secure the playoff position, and then it's all got to be about second or third. Agborough's starting to be a place that people don't want to play, and it's a place that we're enjoying playing again, and there's been seasons where that hasn't been the case. So if we can get second or third, you know, if we can aim for third place, then we've got at least one home tie, and that's going to make a big difference in the playoffs.
One less game as well, isn't it? If you come second or third, you play one less game. I think going back over the last, you know, back in the day where we were in the playoffs, but other teams had lots of games in hand and we were losing games and conceding 99th minute goals. We were in the playoffs at that point. But I didn't feel at that stage, had the playoffs have been at that time, that we would be in any close to any shape of being able to contend and win the playoffs. I think the difference now is that if that is where we fall, second, third, fourth, fifth, if it was tomorrow, if the playoffs started tomorrow, you'd fancy us to really give it a go. And I think I guess that just proves how far we've come. Because 2 or 3 months ago, we were in the playoffs, but no one really thought we were any cop really. Whereas we've gone from that to now thinking, I think now if it was the playoffs, we'd be in the mix for it. But yeah, I'm with you, John. I'm not sure Fylde or South Shields will fall off enough. And we've played them both. Okay, we've got South Shields' final game of the season, which will probably be a step too late at that stage. But we've played Fylde twice. We've played South Shields. So we've only really got one game left to try and influence their results, really.
Can I just say, big thanks to Johnny Giles 13 as I Scarborough fan. We come with some absolute cop-out excuses when we lose. For example, part-time versus full-time. We lost one week in a cup to a team who trains probably once a week, never mind twice.
I saw that was the County Cup. I think they had is it the Yorkshire County Cup or the East Riding County Cup or something like that. They got hammered by a team that were a couple of leagues below. But I do think, yeah, okay, there are part-time teams that go and take this league by storm. I mean, look at what Tamworth did. But yeah. I do think that the difference does tell, part-time, full-time. I think, you know, we've shown our level of physical fitness over the last few games, but we just need to keep that at a really high level. no complacency on or off the pitch, because we have the talent and we have the squad to be able to compete. And hopefully with Danny Waldron as well, who looked lively and
he did.
He did get on the end of one that was just blocked at the front post. Hopefully he can add a few to the goal tally, and that'll be the answer to some of the gaps in the box when we're delivering the ball in.
I just want to say, Johnny Giles, it's funny you should mention that, because as Harriers fans, we have all been through, we should probably be part-time now rather than full-time. It's just, that always comes up when we're losing. It's like, why are we wasting all this money on full-time when they can't play and blah, blah, blah. So listen, mate, honestly, that's the age-old question about full-time versus part-time. If you can afford to do it, then do it.
The key is though, mate, if you're a part-time team and you've got deep pockets, you can go and get the best part-time players.
Yes, absolutely.
If you're a full-time team, you get the worst of the full-time players, effectively, just given where you are in the pyramid, unless you've got deep pockets. And I think quite often those teams that go on and have a really good run that are part-time, they tend to have fairly high budgets. I mean, look at Brackley, etc. They've got a good budget. They get some really good part-time players that would probably be very decent full-time players, but they don't want to play full-time football. They maybe can't afford to drop their full-time actual job. So you often find there's some really, really talented part-time players, and it's the classic, isn't it? Part-time versus full-time. But over the course of a season, you'd like to think that an average part-time team will get overrun by a full-time team, and I think we're starting to show that now. And this is my concern about next season. Going back to your point, Dan, if we are still in the division, which hopefully we won't be, touch wood, there are teams in the levels below that have got big budgets that are on their way up, and we've got to try and get out of this division before they go and get into our level, because they will spend money. And Brackley are a team that, as an example, would have done that historically, to go up through the levels and then spend money. Salford were another one. They weren't always full-time, Salford. So we have to try and, I said this last week or the week before, when we've got players like Devine and Walker, etc., folks, have to make the use of them whilst they're here, because as we saw under that Eustace season 1, if you don't go up, you quite often lose those star players, and they're very difficult to replace, certainly within a 8-week window or whatever in the summer.
Yeah. To be fair, that was a travesty, John Eustace, that season. When we went down, we didn't come back up again, because it was all there. It was literally all there.
Well, we were ready, but Fyle just had Danny Rowe, and he scored like 40-odd league goals in the season, which is just unheard of. Literally, if he gets an injury 3 months before the end of the season, we win that league. Unfortunately, they had him, and that was just one of those crazy seasons, a little bit like Macaulay Langstaff at County when they got promoted in the playoffs with Wrexham in that season. That was it. But the team was great, and then because of the fact we were playing so well but didn't make it, we lost so many key players. It's just so hard to find them and recover.
Yeah, it's very true. So Phil Banner has hello Phil, good evening. Has said, has Matt been given the sack? Lol, he hasn't been on in a while. Matt's busy, man. I saw Travis on Saturday. He was the only one making the noise, which leads me on to my question, John. How do we get noise away from Agbra at away games? Where's the drummer?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good point, Wes, and it's something that I was going to mention later. I was
sorry.
The first thing I'll say is everyone who goes to any football game, they're paying to go in. They can do whatever they want. They can stand there, sit there in silence, enjoy a hot dog, and just watch the game, or they can kind of get behind the team and contribute and support the team. I get it's nice to travel in numbers, but if we had 10 people there that were singing non-stop for 90 minutes, it would be better than having 10,000 there with a wall of silence. I was really pleased that towards the end of the second half, there was like a small group of lads who we went over and stood with and joined in that were singing, chanting and trying to support the team. I think that there traditionally has been a lot of noise away from Agbra. And I think that a lot of that has stopped because a lot of those people are not going to home games or away games anymore for various reasons. I think a lot of them have been banned. Now, whatever they've done to get banned, that's by the by. It's then kind of up to the rest of us that are still going to the games to try and bring the noise and bring the support. And there were a few, like there was a row in front of us yesterday as we stood in the first half. The row that you were in, not having a go at you, Wes, but
only ever in one row.
Yeah, always the front row, always got the VIP seats.
Of course.
And there were people that were shouting and screaming at the referee when he was making the few terrible decisions that he made, but they weren't shouting and screaming for the team. They weren't screaming, supporting, cheering. And I do think, I'm not expecting everyone to go there and sing for 90 minutes or whatever, but I do think that if you're going, especially if you're driving 3.5 hours, just a few shouts, a few words of encouragement that the team can hear, which they definitely could at those close quarters.
Sure.
Does make a real difference. It makes a massive difference to the players on the pitch, and you see the players look over, they put a thumb up, they kind of gesture to raise the noise and encourage. So we've got a tough few away games coming up, and I'd love to hear more noise there from the people that can get there. Even if it's just punctuated, if every few minutes when we get a corner, we get a position in a position that we're defended as well. We need that encouragement.
John, didn't you say you were gonna, or maybe I've dreamt this, but you were going to get like a section of the stadium where like people were going to sort of congregate that want to sing, to get them into what? There's two things. I think that is an idea that I'm sure you came up with, John, which I think would be great, or maybe it was one of the comments. The other thing, just going back to the atmosphere at those kind of games, like I've been to some of those types of grounds, maybe not quite as bad as the one yesterday, but sometimes I do feel as though an environment also impacts an atmosphere, and a stadium like that one yesterday isn't the kind of place that really gets the, I'll be honest, I sit in the East Stand, so I'm certainly not a core singer like probably yourself in the North Stand, although I was when I was younger. So I'm sometimes like an on the fence with it. Like I'll sing and I will chant and I will shout stuff, but in terms of that core kind of singing and chanting, sometimes the environment as well as the performance like dictates if you're a singer, you sing regardless, home, away, terrible stadium, nice stadium. I think when you're a little bit more, not apprehensive, probably not the right word, but when you're a little bit more conserved around like singing and chanting, sometimes I think the environment does make a difference. And some of the games and grounds that we go to at this level just aren't conducive to building an atmosphere. I remember the few seasons ago, we went away to Leamington. It was the Badger Army season, the cup season, and I was really up for it. You get to the game, there's no roof, everyone's stood a million miles apart. There's just no. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not saying, John, that there isn't a opportunity for more sort of atmosphere, but I do think at away games, just trying to balance it. Sometimes I do think the environment can have an impact on people's kind of appetite for it, is I guess what I'm saying.
And I do think that when we talk about games being segregated and not segregated, games being segregated, I think really helps create an atmosphere. Of course, they don't have to be at this level, and sometimes it is overkill and it's done badly, as it was yesterday. But I do think it helps create an atmosphere where you have all the supporters in one section of the ground. The singing section idea was just an idea that I thought that the club could run with. They could, kind of make a section of the stand where they encourage people to bring the noise and get the drummer in. I think the thing for me is you've got people there who are perfectly happy to shout at the referee when he's making bad decisions, but aren't encouraging the team to the same quantity. They're not shouting at the players. And I know this is coming across as critical of Harriers fans, and I'm not trying to be, because it's everyone's choice what they do. But I just think it's a missed opportunity when we've got fans in such close quarters as we had yesterday. We're in a really tough battle for league position, which yesterday was. If you've driven 3.5 hours, then try, if you can, then get behind the team. Just a shout of, come on, Kiddie, up the Harriers, whatever it is. It does make a big difference to the players on the pitch, and you've only got to speak to them to know that that's the case. And Murray's called for it as well, and certainly now he's back in the good books, as it were. Obviously, all the more reason to get behind him, get behind the whole team. So hopefully that will just improve and improve. I do think the North Stand is getting better again. We have suffered because of all the fans that have been banned, and we have made that decision as a club for the reasons that I assume are the right reasons. I don't know the details of why people have been banned, but we're talking about a number of 30, 40 young, I was saying youngsters, they're youngsters to me, but lads in their teens, 20s, who were going home and away and really, really bringing the noise. So when you lose that element, then you are going to have to rebuild it. But I don't think it should just be on the younger ones to rebuild it. It should be, middle-aged men like me chanting and singing as well.
I love that, John. I love the fact you've gone in there middle-aged. You're not middle-aged. In fact, someone in Bridlington, this shows you how blind they are, she thought I was 23. I mean, I'll take that any day of the week. Absolutely. But yeah, there you go.
She must have some gravy to the eye or something.
I tell you what, honestly, Citrusly, he wasn't there yesterday. What an absolute letdown that was, Citrusly. We all want to see your face, mate. We really do. He says you'd fall over if you knew Brackley's weekly wage bill. But that's because the guy who owns Brackley is the CEO for Toyota. Is that correct? Am I right? It's one of the car companies I'm sure he's the CEO for. So I imagine he's got a lot of money. Such as that what you're saying? I hope so. I really hope so. Right. Guys, listen, I've enjoyed tonight so much because there's been so many things to talk about, and there's loads of things to talk about. We've talked about the next game on Tuesday. I want to get this finished for 9 so that Nick can go to bed because he's struggling or whatever.
I'm all good. I'm all good.
You sure?
I'm all good.
It's all good, baby. It's all gravy, baby. I also want to hear a bit more about Dan streaking on Tuesday night. Is anyone else?
Nobody wants to see that.
No, not really.
No one wants to see that. Even Cara doesn't want to see that. So no one wants to see that.
What are the thoughts about the Halifax game, says Dr. Stephen. Now, Dr. Stephen, that I am the He-Man to this, and John is my Skeletor when it comes to the FA Trophy. New film out in June, by the way. I think we'll go and watch Halifax. Thanks very much. I don't even know where they are in the league. How bad is that? But yeah, my thoughts are we just go and try and make something happen. That's what we do. Try and make something happen. Not at the detriment of the team, obviously, but get Seb Thompson on. He'll score a hat-trick. Happy days. And then you're into is it the quarters after that, John?
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Is everyone now looking at Halifax?
Yes, they're seventh. Seventh in the league.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. It's away from home. It's a much more difficult game against a proper National League test. It's not a bottom of the league, Morecambe, who seem to be in disarray. Now, it's not to take away from that performance because it was absolutely spectacular and they played right into our hands. It was fantastic, really entertaining. But I think Halifax game is going to be a real barometer of where we're at, playing against the National League side away from home at a proper stadium. It's going to be interesting, but let's face it, who's going to bet against us at this point? If Halifax come to play football, we will give them a game.
And I think they're looking at that fixture themselves, going, "All right, this one's tasty. This isn't a walkover of a League North, National League North team." They're looking at it, going, "This is tasty." So it could go either way, in my opinion. I think if we show up and we're going to give them a run, so we'll see.
I am going to go any of the business in a minute. Phil Banner says, right, This is about the guys who got banned. He says mainly pyros and fighting they got banned for. However, I do believe the young lads banned should be given another chance, as just banning them isn't going to improve their behaviour. Now, I think if that's the case, if there's 20 of them and they're all banned, I think they should all sit down in a room with Adam Murray, and Adam Murray should tell them exactly what he thinks about their behaviour and how they've all let the side down. And then Amari should come in, like rip his top off like Hulk Hogan, and then just yeah, exactly.
I'll be honest, Wes, that is a very, very, very weird fantasy that you have.
It's not a fact. It has to happen, Nick. It has to happen.
I'm glad it's after the watershed.
Nearly.
What I would say personally on that point is, it's whilst I get it, it's not the club's requirement to improve people's behaviour. Like, the behaviour is the prerequisite to going into an environment like a football stadium. So if you can't adhere to the rules and regulations, it's not for the Harriers to then reform individuals to be able to go and get into the stadium. However, these bans I don't think are always indefinite, depending on what it is that you've done. And I think one of the guys in the comments, I think a guy called is it maybe Josh? Maybe I think it is Josh
Cowley banned from the Harriers hotline. So yeah, it's all about being banned, mate.
well, I think he's basically alluded to the fact they're not banned forever, and some of those bans are being lifted. So hopefully, being away from going to live football and seeing your mates at football has maybe give them a different perspective, and hopefully we get the best of that support, and it'll be a cracking atmosphere at the home and away games, because sounds like they historically have got behind the team, but maybe struggle to put a bit of a lid on it.
I think that has been the thing, and when it spills over beyond where it should be, and I think it's kind of sometimes people get a bit carried away, especially like in. Yeah, this is going to sound really condescending, and it's not meant to be, but like the younger ones can get a bit carried away on the trips and stuff. I'm not saying that I don't know the reasons that they were banned in detail. I'm not saying that they should have been banned, but when you lose a large group of fans who are home and away, who support the team vocally for the majority of the game, you are going to have a vacuum there. And, that was really noticeable yesterday. And I think then you see comments on social media and you hear people who aren't singing and chanting saying, oh, isn't the atmosphere rubbish? It's really quiet. What's going on with the fans? And to that point, I'd say, well, it's not just the responsibility of the young lads. It's everybody's responsibility. And I say that in mind of what I said, you pay your money, you take your choice. If you just want to sit and watch the game, read the programme, you do that. But then if you're saying there's not enough atmosphere, there's not enough support, you need to take that by the bull by the horns yourself, and just a couple of chants, just to just joining in on a song that's already started, will make you'd be amazed how much difference a small amount of noise can make. There was 6 of us singing yesterday down behind the goal, and
me.
Well, yeah. Kind of, Wes.
I was banging the thing.
Yeah,
it's hard.
I did see her. And we were louder than all the Scarborough fans put together, and that's not just because I don't know how to control my volume. That's because it's the concentration of people singing. So this hopefully hasn't come across as a criticism, but more an encouragement for Harriers fans to really. As we go into these later games, really try and give your team that extra push and that extra bit of energy that hearing you chant for them will give them.
With those 6 people, John, you should have created a band. Foregone conclusion.
Well,
on that point, just quickly on that point, John, like I was very much more of the go there to watch the game, sort of chill out, enjoy myself from that way. But since doing this podcast and since that call to arms, I think it was kind of October, end of September, October, when you first started talking about getting behind the team and really getting stuck in. I certainly sing a lot more now. I wouldn't say I'm a chant starter. That's definitely not me. But when the chants do start up, I'm right in there. And I have noticed, and I don't know whether this is your influence, but I have certainly noticed that around where I sit in the old purple granite stand, there is a lot more chanting and a lot more singing now than there was, sort of come end of September. So, I think Whether that's our influence or whether that's the team and Murray's influence, I don't know. But certainly, I've noticed an uptick in the atmosphere of late in the last few games I've been to.
I'm really glad to hear it. I'm just worried that now you've started singing and everyone else around you is doing it. Once you get yourself banned for streaking, there's going to be silence.
No one's banning me for that. No way.
No
To be
way.
fair, there isn't a more vocal fan base than the East Stand at saying get it forward. I mean, I don't think there's a football club in the country that can be bettered. To be fair, we're stellar when it comes to the East Stand saying get the ball forward and moaning about Dibble. That's
screaming
top
at the
of
linesman.
charts.
Right,
Listen,
listen.
about Dibble, I don't know what they want. I'm sorry, Wes. I know you can do any other business.
No. I'm gonna. Yeah, well, go on.
People are moaning about Dibble. What is it that you want from a goalkeeper?
Another clean sheet.
You know, I don't understand what you want more from him. Yes, okay.
They want an £80,000 a week goalkeeper.
Yeah, this
we
is
can only
it,
pay
isn't it?
£800 a week.
Yeah.
Donnarumma. Happy days. Anyway, I forgot what I was going to say now. Or have I? No, I haven't. So many people love the podcasts for different reasons. Right? Could be Dan streaking. Could be John. Hang on a minute. Phil Banner. What are you talking about? With how disrespectful and horrible he is to people, why would you want him on the board? He'd get the club kicked out. Who? Get who on the board? Or does he mean Josh? Oh yeah, no, I get that. Anyway. So as I was going to go back to it. So as I was saying, many people love the podcast for many reasons. It could be Dan streaking. It could be John. It's called Twums. Or it could be Nick and his stats. Nick, what you got for us, bro?
I mean, it's just a little bit of information just on the basis of Harriers' new signing. So Danny Waldron joining us till the end of the season, which I'm quite pleased about. I think he's got a good profile, a little bit taller, but also has pace. I think he's 6'2", has pace, whereas obviously Kurt is more of a smaller, more diminutive player. But I thought it'd be interesting just to look at goals. I think my perception prior was that Waldron has probably scored a few more goals than Kurt Willoughby over the course of the last few seasons. But when you actually look at the data since 2022, 2023, Kurt Willoughby does have 7 more goals than Danny Waldron. Appreciate Waldron's had a lot of injuries, more so than Willoughby, and also Waldron's played at a higher level over the sort of course of the last couple of seasons. But I was a little bit surprised at that. On the face of it, I did think that Danny Waldron would have scored a few more goals. But I think he looks the kind of player that suits the National League North and more importantly, our current system, in that he can run in behind. He is someone who can hold the play and link the play. And of course, historically, he's scored goals. I think it's the only worry I would say with him is that, similar to the Kurt Willoughby signing, he hasn't scored goals that recently. So it'll be interesting to see how his confidence is when he first gets a couple of chances, how good he is in front of goal, and I guess whether we can get him into, Murray uses this word actually, but get him into his flow. Because if we can, there are goals there. I think he suits the style and the league probably slightly better than Kurt Willoughby. I think Willoughby would do a job in the South. I think he'd be a decent striker at that level in that league. But I do think we do need to temper expectations in some ways, in that we aren't signing somebody who has scored 20 goals last season or in the last 2 seasons, because that isn't the story. I think the other similarity between Waldron and Willoughby that also taints it slightly for me is that Kurt Willoughby's turned us down 2 or 3 times. So has Danny Waldron. We've been chasing him since we were in the National League on and off. I don't like that. Sometimes it makes us feel like a bit of a last resort. And you worry then how much their heart actually is in it versus almost thinking, well, I've sort of got to. Because when they've had a choice, they've not chose us. So that always sticks in the back of my mind a little bit. But hopefully with the fact he's Midlands based, he has scored goals, hopefully being back home and local, it will be a happy place for him. And we do create a lot more chances now. If you're a centre forward looking to try and get goals in the National League North, outside of the obvious ones where you're not getting in, we've got to be next in line. So hopefully it'll be a place he can come in, get his goals, and I guess move on from there.
Nick,
And on
what
that
I would-
point
what I
of-
would- sorry,
Wes.
Nick. What I would say to you there is, I think everybody has probably turned Kidderminster Harriers down once in their career, right? And now that could be because he was playing for Rushall, which means he probably would have had another job, which means that we probably couldn't match the wages he wanted. We couldn't pay as much as Southend were going to pay him. So there's always a reason why they don't come. And I hope it's not because they don't like Harriers. I mean, look at Tastyland on the you know, loads of great things.
Christ, good job you're not trying to sell him the good job you're
Exactly.
not trying to sell him the contract with that. But
Yeah,
I take your point on board. But ultimately, when you look at the likes of a Brackley and you look at, I think he's been out on loan somewhere else as well. I do feel that there have been times where he could have chosen us and didn't. And same with Kurt Willoughby as well. But look, hopefully it works for both parties. We've been saying this now with a couple of other players. Sometimes it's right time, right place, and hopefully. That's where we're at.
I think.
Can I just
go on?
Sorry, Dan, because this is just leading on from that. Tony's a Darlow fan. Yay, we'll see you soon, Tony, on the 14th, I believe, Valentine's Day. Great pod, lads. Yay, that's exciting. That's what we want to know. What's happened to Kurt Willoughby? Used to be the league's hottest striker. Who wants to take that?
I'll jump in on that if I can. I think Kurt in the pre-season was starting to look really sharp. He was starting to look good, and there was definitely a relationship building with Dan Mooney. They were looking for each other on the pitch. Mooney's delivery into the box suited Kurt. He scored a couple of great goals pre-season off of the back of Mooney's balls in. That sounded weird. But then...
Oh, Dan, what's going on, man? What's happening today?
I don't know. But then I think the season didn't start as we expected. And I think without trying to be critical, without trying to sound like I'm being critical, I think Kurt was a victim of that. And I think where the team wasn't gelling as such within that first part of the season, I think Kurt has struggled to find his place going forward. And I think ultimately the style of play, I think Kurt just doesn't fit Adam Murray's plans anymore. And I'm disappointed. I really like Kurt Willoughby. I like having him on the pitch. I like watching him play. And it's a shame that he hasn't had I don't want to say the opportunity because that's not right, but he just hasn't kind of slotted in the way that we all hoped he would. If I can also just quickly go back to the point on Waldron, I think it's easy to look at that glass as being half empty and saying, we are the last resort. But actually, has he picked us now because we're a team on the up? And he's seeing, like you said, Nick, he's seeing the chances flying into the box and he's thinking, I could definitely get on the end of some of those. I think, let's try and see the positive there as well. And maybe that's why the choice has been made at this point.
It's a positive from our perspective, Dan. Signing him is a positive signing. Okay. I'm not saying that I don't think it is a positive signing. I think it is. Just quickly on the Willoughby point, I think Willoughby got the opportunity at the wrong time. I said that last week. I feel like if the roles had been reversed, we'd had Waldron, what had played out in terms of the chances we created, and we now sign Kurt Willoughby. I think we're saying, look, we're serving up chances after chance now.
That's right.
You're almost spinning the same narrative, but just with a different player. I think Waldron's slight increase in height, and he's quick. He's a nimble, quick player. Will hopefully help. I just think that Waldron is a positive signing, but just like anything, the proof will be in the pudding, and he's going to have to do something, just like Kurt Willoughby, that he hasn't done for 2-3 seasons. Now, training at Southend, training at a proper Football League level club, really, in Southend in terms of the facilities, you'd like to think that he is going to be sharp. He is going to see the National League North, and he's going to be able to take it and grab it because he's used to training with far better players. But he's now got to go and do that. And like I said, he hasn't been doing that for a little while. So hopefully it just clicks. He gets in a moment and he just goes on a streak. And if he does, we're in a really good place.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay, guys, we've been going for an hour and 10 minutes now. It's just been fantastic tonight. I hope everyone's enjoying it so far. I know I certainly have. Cage FC TV, not one mention of AMS all evening. He didn't play. So I'm not sure what we're supposed to say if he didn't play. I did say...
Was he in the squad?
He was in the squad, yeah, he was on the bench, but he didn't play. He didn't get a game. So
We mentioned him getting naked, didn't we? So
What?
We mentioned him getting
did?
naked.
no,
Where's
you
imagined
get
him?
no ripping his top off when he was having a go.
But he had a white t-shirt underneath.
Doesn't matter.
When Wes imagined Amari in a room with 20 other young men ripping his shirt off, that is the. Other than that, he's not mentioned him, but he did. Then.
Yeah,
Just quickly,
yeah.
AMS has his part to play this season.
Of course he does.
I don't think there's anyone on the podcast that doesn't think that Amari will have plenty of moments still in this season, but he can't be the main and only real focal point like he has been. So he'll have his time still for sure, and he'll have something to say. And I'm sure no one would love anything more than Amari Morgan-Smith to get the winning goal that sent us up. There isn't anyone that wouldn't want that. It would be amazing. But he can't be the only option from a centre forward perspective. And with Show Silver basically being at a point where there's almost an acceptance he's moving on. Yeah. Sadly, hasn't worked out for Kurt Willoughby. Mooney's out long-term injured. We do need another player that can do a little bit of everything. And I do feel on paper, Waldron offers us that. Has got a bit of pace, can hold it, has played at the level, has scored goals. So you look at that and go, maybe he is that man.
Thank you, Nick, for that. And he played pretty well yesterday. Came on 15 minutes. Could have scored. But anyway, any other business? I'm going to start tonight because 12 years ago today, we made a very long journey. Where did we go? 12 years ago today?
Amarillo.
We went to Sunderland. We went to Wearside. And honestly, I want to hear everyone's thought. If you went, I want to hear your thoughts about the day. What was the one thing that you enjoyed about the day? Obviously, going behind me in about 30 seconds was horrendous. And getting out of the coach, and it just absolutely just pissed down all over me. That was awful as well. But yeah, it was just nice to see us in the Premier League. We were chatting with Anthony Malb about this. Actually, it was me and the other Nick. And he was saying about he was there, but he never got on. Was it who started in front of him? I can't remember his name.
Freddie Ladapo started.
Yeah. And
what's he done since? So he's done all right, hasn't he?
He's doing okay. So thoughts? Who was there? Tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, I went to the game.
Oh, I've just someone just put in the comments the disappointment of no Joe Lolly. I mean, he was just the missing piece on the day, wasn't he? He was just unplayable the whole season. It was like, could we have just kept him for that one game? He would have made a massive difference. But the thing that stood up for me was I travelled with my best mate and his little boy, who was genuinely like a newborn baby, pretty much, and who is now 13. So I guess
when you got there, he was 13. He was very long.
To be fair, mate, Sunderland is quite a long way away. So, but no, it feels almost like yesterday now you're talking about it and some of the players' names that we've mentioned, and to think that he's now 13 is actually crazy. But yeah, that's probably that, and the bespoke kit that was designed purely for that game, the purple and yellow piece.
Nice. That'd be quite good, actually. Nice purple and yellow piece for the podcast, maybe in the future. That'd be lovely stuff. Gary Martin said, any news on the shirts? They'll be ordered in February. I have to do it. I have to, money or not, I have to do it. So any other business, John?
I think I want to give a big shout out to Obi, who I felt was brilliant yesterday, and he is a really intelligent footballer.
Apart from the wind.
So someone said to me, he is a 98% footballer, but the 2% has your heart in your mouth. I would say that's pretty bang on. The 2% of the time when he does make a clanger, you are absolutely heart in your mouth time. But there was a moment which could have been absolutely incredible, where there was a ball over the top. Obi made the run into the box. His touch and turn was Thierry Henry-esque. And if he'd have finished that, unfortunately, the keeper closed it down too quickly, but if he'd have finished that, wow, what a goal that would have been. That would have been replayed many times over. I think he's just having a really great season, going from strength to strength. Confidence is high. So there's my any other business. Well done, Obi.
My any other business is I told you so.
You've done that all season, man. All season.
I know it's
season.
annoying, isn't it? You know what I mean? It must be really annoying
you know,
to just be right on a lot of things.
Nick, I don't even know what you're right about now. We just accept that you are right. We don't even care about what it is. Dan, what's your any other business, please?
My any other business, looking forward to Tuesday night up at Bedford, but I feel after the way the conversation has moved today, it's important that I state that I will not and have no intention to take my toes off at that game.
Well,
so anyone from Bedford listening, don't stop me at the turnstile and not let me in.
Please crop it, Wes, just for comedy. Just crop him saying what his plan was.
I'm totally going to do that. That's cool. Dan, it'd be great to see you, mate, and we'll recreate that goal closed on. That'd be awesome as well. We'll do that. That'd be fun. I just want to say, and it's a bit like what John does, but I don't even know if dynasty is the right word, but I've been to some away games that have just been exceptional. And this season, Kings Lynn was the first one. John, agreed? Exceptional? Yep. I can't remember. But then that led on to beginning of December, South Shields away.
Fantastic.
We didn't think we had a prayer or a hope. Again, the away day yesterday was incredible. We won 2-0, had a great night out in Bridlington, did some shit karaoke. So it was amazing. But what I'm trying to say is away days are great for mental health. They're just, honestly, you just go somewhere, you're with your mates, you're with the hardcore crew, you're with people who love football like you, they love the Harriers like you, and it just feels so unbelievable. You can just forget life for like 90 minutes or 24 hours if you're going to stay there or whatever. So I just implore everyone just to go, man. Just get yourself to the away games, get yourself to Halifax, get yourself to Macclesfield on the Tuesday night, which I think is going to be great. And dynasty, is that the right word? I think we are there. You know, I think we are. I think something special's happening, guys, and I'm using it as an excuse now with the wife. Sorry, love, can't do that on Saturday. Something special's happening at Agborough. So yeah, and I also met Jackie of the Oldham yesterday. My God, come on, Jackie of the Oldham. It was unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable yesterday. So those are my thoughts. Anyone else got any thoughts on that?
Well, I guess. You know, you've sort of teed yourself up really nicely there to really quickly just go through the fixtures for the away game. So, Maccles in the league this is. So it's Bedford away, Macclesfield on the Tuesday, the 3rd of February. Then a long trip to Spennymoor. I'll tell you what, we've got some serious trips
that week
in February.
That week in February.
The away games in Feb, and Macclesfield, just the away games. Macclesfield, Spennymoor, Darlington, and Chorley. So I tell you what, February is going to be a massive test, but I remember in December looking at the fixtures and really fearing for it because we were in a bad position.
Yeah,
we had the top sides, and it was literally the acid test, and he passed it, and we passed it with flying colours. These next batch of fixtures are going to be tough. If we replicate what we've done over the last 10 games for the next 10, we are going to be in a seriously good position, and a position that I don't think any of us thought possible sort of, September, October time. So fingers crossed, got some tough games. If we get through them, tell you what, it's going to be an exciting place on this podcast over the next few weeks and months. Can't wait if that's the case.
When's the Oxford away game?
28th of March. 28th
of March. Good. Okay. I was worried it was 28th of Feb, so I'm glad.
So I'm trying to get people to come with me to the Farmer's Dog just for the game. So I think that would be lovely stuff. John can't do it because John's in Oxford, but he's just not available for that.
Already in Oxford, yeah.
Already there, though. Already there.
We're having the Jolly Boys outing.
Nice.
So, yeah, there'll be a group of about 15 or so Harriers fans who've been Harriers fans for about 20, 30 years. And
a few debauched drunks. Stay out of the way of them. I'm only joking. Go over.
Come over, yeah. Drinks will be on me, in me.
Oh, classic.
You guys, it's got to stop. But I like it to continue.
It will never stop. I'll be
honest. Never ever stop. Ooh. Yeah, so there you go.
It does stop, but then it continues. Got to roll with the punches, Wes.
Literally, I'm just getting over Dan getting naked in Bedford. So that's where we'll leave it. Okay, thank you so much. I'll clip that out tomorrow.
Can we be careful? Because my nephew's just arrived on the screen. I can see.
He's proud of you, Dan. He's proud. He's so proud of you.
He was
until he heard that.
He was proud of you, Dan. He was proud. So, by the way, tonight's the first time we've had not only one but two people from fans of other teams, which is incredible. And if that continues, that'd be amazing because we want to be there. Lucas is laughing at you, Dan.
Yeah, well, I'm used to that. So,
Dr. Stephen, great fun tonight. Thank you, Dr. Stephen. We appreciate that. We love your comments. We love them all. But we've got to leave it there because it's an hour and 20 minutes. In fact, Nick said to me, I've got to leave at 9. But then something happened.
He's enjoyed it too much.
He's enjoyed it too much. And he's like, yes, I'm there. You
know what? Sometimes, like, I have to not drag myself on, but sometimes it's like, oh, really tired. But you know what?
Yeah.
Most of the time I come on, we have a great chat, see the comments, and it's just great. So thanks for everyone, really. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I totally second that.
That was him on a 7. You want to see him on a 9 or 10.
Okay, which episode was that from, please, John? Do you know?
That's not an office quote.
Is it not? What quote is it then? What?
Maybe it is.
It is, yeah.
It is.
Is it? Wow, missed it. That's unusual. Well done, John. You got me.
Oh,
got him on the 50th episode.
I might have got it wrong, to be fair. I might have got the quote wrong.
I love it.
Sometimes I mispronunciate some of my worms.
Oh, God. We're all a bit delirious now. So that'll be it. Thank you so much for joining us. John, you'll be there at Bedford, is that right?
Yeah, see you guys there.
Nick, are you going to be there at Bedford?
I'll be watching the game most probably in the Harriers arms.
Of course, Dan will be naked at Bedford. So,
oh yeah,
oh baby, with the babies. Come on, Cara, love, let's do it. Let's go. Let's get be prepped. Right. So, listen, guys, thank you so much for watching. We're in the dynasty, and this team is going from strength to strength. And I hope that you can, we can all do. I say we all can do a little bit extra 5% or whatever, just to sing that song or do that 400-mile trip or whatever. It doesn't matter. Listen, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Come
on, Harriers, Tuesday, 3 points.
Yes, come on, Harriers. Let's do it. Let's enjoy. Let's go to Bedford and get 3 points and just carry on, from where we left off, which was yesterday.
I'm off to Bedford now. I'll see you later.
Bedfordshire.
See you later, pal. See you later, everyone. Thanks, John. Hang on. I'm giving you a round of applause. Oh, I feel bad.
I can always wait for a round of applause.
Yeah, obviously. Nick. Job. And Mr. Magic Mike, it's Dan.
Far from it.
I've been Wes, thank you so much. I've got my own applause. Okay. Don't forget to check the vlog out. That I'll put the link to. Check the vlog out because it was so much fun to do and stuff. We'll get one on Tuesday as well as some updates and that kind of thing. Enjoy it. We'll see you Tuesday night. Thank you so much for watching. On our 50th episode. Brilliant. 50 more hopefully on the way. Cheers, guys. See you soon.
Bye, guys.